Can facial surgery make you look like someone else? This is one of the biggest questions and biggest fears people have when they come in for a consultation is they've seen famous people or they've seen friends that have had work done to look younger and to look better, and they look like a different person. Most detrimental whenever it is somebody famous and they're an actor or actress and they're looking to get jobs and they just don't look like themselves anymore. But socially, it makes a big impression on people as well. Personally, my philosophy is for you to look like yourself, to look better, for us to look at the before and after and say, wow, that's really dramatic, that's really amazing, but other people really not to be able to put their finger on it and not to be able to tell. So that's my gold standard. If someone says, oh, did you change your hair or did you change this or that, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want, and that's what my aesthetic is. Not everybody has that same aesthetic, but that's why you find a surgeon that works for you, that y'all are both in the same direction. But what I think happens is people have very characteristic features, and whenever you change those features very dramatically, that is what people feel like makes you look different. If someone has, very heavy hooded eyelids and they've always had that, it's always been a heavier look. And I think they're very youthful people that part of the upper eyelid right underneath the brow can look very heavy, and it can be youthful. There's kids that have that. That's not necessarily like an aging thing on certain faces. And if you change that and it's completely different and the brow is lifted very high and the eyes are, I almost say like skeletonized, where they look more deep set, that can actually make you look older, and it definitely changes the way that you look. I think eyes are one of those things you have to be really, really careful about, because whenever people look at someone and they say, oh, that is bad work, or oh, that looks different, it a lot of the times has to do with their eyes, the way that maybe bad cheek filler like encroaches on the space for the eyes, if you think of like Catwoman. Or if the shape of the eyes is changed, that's very dramatic and very much something people will notice. If it's just subtle and you just relax the eyes and you make them look more open, that's not necessarily something people notice in a bad way, but it's something they say, oh, you look so much better. Because I've had people that have come in and they're debating, do I do a facelift? Do I do my eyes? Do I do everything? And your most bang for your buck usually is the eyes, because that's what we notice and that's what we look at. And so even if you have a little bit of extra skin on your neck, it may really, really bother you, but other people don't notice that as much. They notice, oh, do you look tired? Do you look rusted? So I think those surgeries where they really change the appearance of the eyes makes people take notice, not in a good way. I think Kenny Rogers, that was for a long time when people would say, oh, I don't want that. Or if you just look overpulled and not natural, because our eyes pick up things that look not natural and not what we expect human faces to look like. And so if it looks overly done, if it doesn't look anatomically correct, if things are out of sorts, our eyes will pick that up just evolutionarily. If things are in proportion and maybe they are really lifted and they are really tight and it's, but it's in proportion, it's the things that our eyes expect to see another person's face, you may not notice it at all. After I had my rhinoplasty surgery, to me, it was a huge difference. It was a big deal. And I went to a conference with other surgeons at 10 days after surgery and thought, oh, they're definitely going to notice. And they had no idea. Nobody had a single thing to say. Nobody even noticed, because it was within what they expect from another person's face, and it's within that normal. If it was completely different in a ski slope and you saw into my nostrils and things that we don't find attractive and normal, they probably would have noticed. Even though that is the fear and that is the thought that people have when they come in, and especially the spouse and the partner a lot of times, because they say, well, I fell in love with your face. I love the way it looks. I don't want that to change. And they have that concern of, I don't want you to look different. The modern way of looking at that and the modern way of doing these procedures is to keep a very natural look to the face, and for it to look soft and to look youthful and to look like you, just that much better. And so it's really the outlier now that people look different. It's the people that are still using techniques that maybe aren't as advanced. It's not the norm for plastic surgeons and plastic surgery to look that way, to look abnormal. like a different person. It's up to the person, and even more so up to the surgeon, to look at those aspects of the face that are really characteristic of them and really have a good conversation with them before doing any type of plastic surgery about what that means. And if we change this, what is that going to look like, and how is that going to affect you, and have a more in-depth conversation than, oh yeah, we can do your nose, no problem. That may be something that's very tied to their heritage, very tied to their family, and you really dramatically change that, and that can really look different in their community and within who they are. So I think a lot of making sure that doesn't happen is good communication up front, updated surgical techniques, and really working with the patient to achieve that goal of the look that they're looking for, and not just saying, oh, rhinoplasty checkbox. We can do that. Let me know what questions you have about plastic surgery and looking like your best self. You can find me at www.drangelaSturm.com or Beauty Unveiled, anywhere you get your podcasts.